Toshio Okada discusses in multiple videos. The essence of how Japanese content continues to win globally. Samurai Time Slipper is an independent film. Made by a rice farmer director with fewer than 10 staff. What seems like modest direction explosively transforms into pure emotion at the end. Low budget, but with a rock and roll spirit. That's what resonates with Hollywood filmmakers. And Godzilla -1. The first Asian film to win the Academy Visual Effects Award. It's not because it was made cheaply. Because the special effects and drama are perfectly integrated. It moved the world. Toshio Okada says. The reason Japanese films work globally is the power of universal themes and honest storytelling. We'll explore its core in this documentary.
This month was full of great movies. There were no movies below 90 points. The most incredible one was, just as we discussed earlier, it's an independent film, Samurai Time Slipper. In this independent film, introduced on Movie.com, scored 4.3 points on Movie.com. I've already given it 97 points. It's a bit over 2 hours and 11 minutes long. According to the description on Movie.com, time travel to a modern period drama film set, depicting a late Edo period samurai struggling as an extra in a period drama. Period drama comedy. Shinzaemon Kosaka of the Eizu clan in Kyoto during the late Edo period. Exhausted, he receives a gaze from the Choshu clan lord. The moment he crossed blades with his target, he loses consciousness from a lightning strike. When he wakes up, he finds himself. This is the modern period drama studio in Kyoto. Shinzaemon causes chaos wherever he goes. The Edo shogunate 140 years ago collapsed. He is shocked to learn of its downfall. Though Shinzaemon once prepared for death, he is helped by kind people and regains his will to live. Eventually, relying only on his polished swordsmanship, he knocks on the studio's gate, deciding to live as someone who will be killed off. This is how the story goes. The director is named Junichi Hoda. He's a rice farmer. He is a rice farmer. On the back of the pamphlet, it's still just a flyer. The pamphlet isn't even ready yet. At this position. Can you zoom in a bit? At this position. We make rice in movies with care. And said. Director Yasuda writing a rice planter. There's a photo like that. He's really like this. Just an ordinary rice farmer. The film crew wrote a little something here. There are 10 of them. That's amazing. It says less than 10 people. There aren't even 10 people. That person went to the Azumatsu studio. I want to make a movie like this. Would you help me? And then said. So he brought the screenplay. I thought it might not work. Then from the Azumatsu film. Who makes period dramas these days? You'll definitely just lose money. Independent films. You're gonna raise funds and make it yourself, right? You'll just go bankrupt. Just don't do it. That's what I was going to say, but after reading Yasu's book, it's actually pretty interesting. I said I'd help out. Period dramas are really tough. Because the people behind me are telling everyone to bend. You have to wear traditional Japanese clothing. Costume and hairstyling costs are incredibly expensive. By providing those at a low cost. When reading one passage, at about 1/10 of the price, they provided it. That's how they managed to shoot it. With a crew of less than 10 for an indie film. Only able to shoot 5 or 6 days a month. So it took from July to December. And they finally finished shooting after 6 months. In October of last year, 2023, at the Kyoto International Film Festival premiere, the audience was applauding wildly. At Cinema Rosa in Ikebukuro, they did a limited screening, and it became a huge hit. It's expanding nationwide, similar to the camera stopping trend from a few years ago. That's how it's going. It's overwhelmingly interesting. To be honest, the first 20 minutes. Just don't expect too much. You should watch it. And the reason is, it's basically an indie film. With actors you've probably never seen before. These actors I've never seen before. Their art is pretty mediocre. There are almost no cool-looking visuals. With these low-quality images, they can only follow the standard plot, like with samurai fighting. Lightning strikes and they time travel to the present. The shots are pretty much predetermined, flowing through these in sequence, even for period drama audiences, in a way that grandparents can understand. While meeting, we need to do this at a good pace, right? The plot and storyline are kind of lame. This is where it's disadvantageous. Like don't stop the camera. Like Mondays. Saying don't go away. There are some interesting indie films recently, right? Interesting indie films. They all have great pacing and style. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Is this about good pacing and style? And why is that? Having good pacing and style means people with taste can understand. You know what I mean? It's kind of like this. That's the vibe. To provide this. Through this. Creating a shared consciousness among the audience. They're making this in a more steady way. Let's make it understandable to everyone. Because they're doing this. It lacks good tempo. It looks uncool. For the first 20 minutes or so. Wait, is this really that interesting? I can't help but think. Except for the protagonist. All other characters are basically stereotypical. These points that seem like flaws. In the end, everything just accelerates in an incredible way. Because of this ending is so amazing. It becomes like that, so to speak. The fallen Tokugawa shogunate and the Edo period. The world of samurai has indeed disappeared. It's a dying genre of samurai films. The world of period dramas. I'm completely drawn into this comparison. And the final duel scene. The last samurai is fighting right here and now. It makes you truly believe how incredible this is. As for us, the drama Shogun was a huge hit worldwide not too long ago, right? So, that was amazing. Truly amazing. Kurosawa's period films are incredible too. Like the final sword fight in Yojimbo. And the last battle scene in Seven Samurai. But even though it looks like people are really killing each other, it actually doesn't look that way. It looks like a great movie. Shogun was also a great drama. The shield scenes look serious. It seems incredibly realistic. And with Kurosawa's period dramas, it seems quite realistic. But it doesn't look like the actors are actually killing each other. Star Wars is the same way. The weakness of the Star Wars series is that when they're fighting with lightsabers, it doesn't feel like they're really fighting, like the choreography in a movie, because it kind of becomes visible. So in that movie, especially in period drama sword fights, the first time I felt like they were truly battling was this movie. I was watching it to some extent, and how this feeling is created is built on what seemed like flaws that I mentioned earlier. I've got the final scene ready. It's truly touching my heart. Please watch, it's amazing. I think this is probably the best film of the year. For next year's Academy Foreign Film Award, we should submit this film. We can aim for some value here. As for why we can aim for value, there are a few reasons. I'll explain the biggest reason last. To put it simply, right now, that general. So it's the samurai era in Edo. The Japanese period drama boom. It's a global trend, meaning it's the perfect timing. And secondly, it's easy to modify the format. Like how Seven Samurai became the Magnificent Seven. Cowboys from the Southern War era. Time traveling to modern America and so on. It's easy to localize. You can easily adapt it to hit formats in that country, which allows for selling the format. And as I mentioned earlier about this movie, because there are no famous actors, no attractive people appear, and with LGBT discussions, Things that could be seen as racial discrimination are basically non-existent. This is quite remarkable. Anyway, this is the biggest. No. Anyway, a period drama on a low budget, Something everyone hates. Hollywood film industry people deeply despise how Disney and Disney Pro are made. With that massive budget, let's create a fantasy. It looks like you're going against the trend. I'm not rebelling, though. I'm just doing it because I have to compete with those big budget fantasies, showing we can make something interesting even on this scale. That rock and roll spirit. Hollywood filmmakers probably unconsciously feel. This is Godzilla -1. I won the Academy Special Lecture Award. It's following exactly the same flow. So there will be many people supporting me over there. This is the final and most important reason. As a story of division and coexistence, Americans will likely interpret this movie their own way. And the reason is, the conflict between Shoshu and Eizu domains can be directly translated to issues like Israel or Ukraine. It's possible to interpret it that way. The resentment and anger of a people do not disappear. So what can be done about it? The protagonist, a samurai from the Eizu clan. By living in the modern era, he gains a new sense of grace. Not the favor received during the Edo period. A new sense of obligation, constraints, or reason. When he finds a purpose for his own life. It's not just about revenge or ethnic matters. He can take pride in his own way of living now. That's the theme America is desperately seeking right now. Let's not forget the past. Forget the past and let go of constraints. Not just becoming comrades again. I won't forget the past, and it can't disappear. But coexisting with the past within myself. As an American. Living, continuing to live. This seems to be the perfect theme for modern Americans. I didn't create it with such a theme. Maybe Americans would see it that way. I can predict this now. This is an answer to Civil War. It's a coincidence, so prepare the subtitle version right away. If released in US theaters by November. Next year's Academy Foreign Film Award. We'll definitely aim for it. We might even aim for Best Picture. It's a work that can be reinterpreted. The ability to reinterpret it. That's how Hollywood people love to view movies. So, quickly get the people involved. Create subtitles and consider releasing it overseas. Especially release it in the United States. This should be exported. By exporting, I mean, when I first released this, when it was discussed in the seminar, I said it should be released in America and aim for the Academy Awards. But now it's too late for that. It's a format sale. A cowboy becoming obsolete in the late 19th century. The era of Back to the Future, so to speak. A railroad to California in America. With steam locomotives running. An era when cowboys gradually lost their place. The setting of Back to the Future 3. An American film from 1885. 1885, which is said to be the last of the Wild West. There's no meaning to the West being the last. What kind of dream will it become now? With the world of the West being lost. The last frontier disappearing from the frontier. It was said that America no longer had a frontier. Around 1885, to be precise. That's why Back to the Future depicts that era. Doc and Marty would happily go to the cowboy world, thinking they'd shoot guns and such. Even if that no longer works. In an era where it's disappearing. America has become like that, right? If the cowboys of that era were to time travel to the present. This format could be used perfectly. This is also about chasing the Shinsengumi. The samurai of the late Edo period. Samurai who were about to vanish. Coming to the present day. Near Yuzumesa's film studio in Kyoto. Finding one's path in life. Something similar to that. A cowboy coming to modern America. Could find his own way of living. Gangsters from the 1920s. The so-called Al Capone era. From the old times. A terrifying gangster coming to the present day. Samurai time traveler slipper. I'll try to format and sell it. I think it might be better to sell the script in America. That's what I thought. Ranking at number 7. Thank you for your hard video. Regarding the upgrade information, those who don't even have a TV at home, or those without a recording system. That's quite a lot. To provide some additional context, Samurai Time Slipper is also available on Amazon Prime members. When you become a Prime member, you get free shipping. Gradually, people started finding that annoying. So they began creating other e-commerce companies. Amazon Prime. I read an article about the video being in a bit of a tough spot. The other day, this isn't good. So I wanted to show some support. So on Amazon Prime, if you're still a member, please watch it there. And about what I was talking about in the video. Format selling should still work, right? That's it for today's video. See you in the next video. Godzilla -1 is, well, a film that reclaimed creative freedom from those in power. This feeling has been around something that had been lingering in Hollywood for nearly 20 years. Was finally it's not, and fundamentally, having such resolve is wrong. That's the part one didn't affirm. On Friday Roadshow, Takashi Yamazaki's Godzilla, and today's video is also about Godzilla -1. As those who know are aware, Godzilla -1, released in November 2021, the film that won the Qualification Effect Award is not just with this. I bet Godzilla -1 has become a globally recognized film. There are probably several pre-arranged Japanese, and after that, he might really break into Hollywood. Breaking in just before turning 60 is cutting it pretty close age-wise. But I'm really glad he made it in time. In today's video, why Godzilla -1 has about the Academy Award qualification effect that America got. While thinking about the reason, discussing the charm of the work, the aspects that emerge from that. This video was distributed on March 17, 2024. The 524th Okada Special Prize Seminar, which is a rebroadcast. Now, the video starts from here. Godzilla -1 has won the Academy Award qualification effect. Congratulations, truly. The Academy Award qualification effect is, the Academy Awards are divided into general awards and category awards. And the Qualification Effect Award is a category award. In other words, within the Academy Awards, including the Qualification Effect, members of that genre vote. Awards like Best Picture or Best Director are general awards, voted by Academy Award members, meaning technical staff, cinematography staff, other related personnel, producers, screenwriters, actors, everyone votes for the general awards. While qualification awards are different. Since it's about that qualification award genre, I don't know the details very well. It's said that mostly technical people vote for it. And when it's reported in Japan, there are speculations about why it won the award. Well, more like an investigation or something. The investigation itself of the local academy's skilled staff, not interviewing the staff of the qualification award, but interviewing people in Japan who are knowledgeable about the Academy Awards and films. Not that, but I'm kind of. I thought there might be a slight misalignment in perception. So I wanted to share my own analysis. What people often say is that it was made cheaply. In other words, compared to other Hollywood big-budget CG and special effects films, they say it was made with a budget of 1/10 or even 1/100th. Despite that, it was well done, and it stirred our emotions from our younger days. Which is why we voted, as director Yamazaki himself has said. And this director Yamazaki, I believe what director Yamazaki said is misleading. And he actually knows it's different. I think he might be misleading us. The reason I think this is about tokusatsu dramas Because it was related to the main story, which is a pretty standard reason. And for Hollywood blockbusters, like any Marvel film or whatever. In typical Hollywood CG blockbusters, the CG special effects scenes are the highlight, while the drama becomes the emotional core. This is quite common, not just limited to King Kong or King Kong vs. Godzilla, but also applies to Marvel and DC films. This tends to happen. In Japanese special effects dramas, this is pretty common. So, with Hollywood Godzilla, or rather, Hollywood's, like with Transformers and all, the giant CGI characters aren't fully committing to being villains. So it ultimately becomes a fight between humans. Transformers is unique in that there are good and bad robots, and you can communicate with the bad ones. But there's no drama on the villain's side. That's a bit different from Marvel. Marvel basically has human-scale characters show up, and these characters are carrying the drama. What I'm trying to say is, even when huge monsters appear on screen, you can't directly create drama with those monsters. It ultimately becomes a battle between humans. Godzilla -1 was this giant hero movie. And if it was just typical, it would be hopeless. The actual breakthrough is in eliminating those flaws. I believe it resolved those issues. About Godzilla -1. How unusual, they've successfully blended special effects and drama. For example, assuming everyone has already seen Godzilla -1 and knows the background, let's talk about the first landing scene. The landing scene in Otoshima serves as a dramatic setup. In other words, the protagonist Shikishima runs away from the battle. Shikishima is originally a survivor of the Kamikaze Corps, a person who escaped a special attack mission and his family died because he ran away from the special attack mission, which he comes to believe himself. When the war ended, I went back to my hometown and found everyone had died. And the lady living across the street said it was because you didn't do things properly that this happened. That on Shiki Island, you didn't die when you were supposed to, is how it sounded to me. That's why he suffered so much. In the first landing, he couldn't properly fire the machine gun and ran away from the battle. Next, the naval confrontation. A scene where Godzilla emerges from the sea and chases ships in battle. This is a turning point in the drama for the whole story. In other words, the past that was running away caught up. War caught up. Death caught up. And this becomes a turning point to confront the past. A turning point, but ultimately couldn't win. Couldn't win against it. So here, maybe it's okay to run away from Godzilla. Can't beat something like that. There's no way we can win. At first, it's obvious that fighting in such a war would be pointless. It's impossible. There's no way we can beat something like that. Well, I'll face the past and fire the machine guns, but we end up running away from Godzilla. And then, the destruction of Ginza. The climactic destruction of Ginza. The protagonist's resolve. In other words, the Shiki Island reclaims its pride. What pride is being reclaimed is the pride of a warrior, the pride of a man, the pride of a kamikaze pilot. From this point on, the protagonist of Shikishima seeks his place of death. This is the structure of Godzilla -1. This is the final confrontation. As for the final action, Shikishima recovers his lost family. In other words, he reclaims the family taken by war. It's not exactly a simple happy ending, but that's the structure of the story. All the special effects scenes and drama, the protagonist's inner conflict, are created to be interconnected. Each special effects scene, the large-scale effects, become turning points in the drama. Defeating Godzilla leads to the protagonist's growth. Not about running away, but being unable to run. Having to defeat the enemy contributes to the protagonist's development. Actually, this is becoming like Star Wars. Like Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, confronting the Imperial army that they thought was unbeatable, transcending past grudges. That's what makes this structure so incredible. In the first place, why did Shikishima try to run from or fight Godzilla? It was the fear of death, the terror of being used in a suicide mission, the horror of war, with Godzilla's landing in Ginza and the massive destruction, the fear of losing everything he loved and his way of life. Finally coming to that realization. So, the protagonist Shikishima is given motivation to defeat Godzilla. In other words, the island's attack means he can't escape war. Even if he tries to run, war will chase him down. Death will chase him down. Then, during the sea battle, he can't shoot with the machine gun. When he ran away, his comrades died. Because he had run away before, his comrades died. And so, regarding the initial Owatashima incident, they realized they would have to fight with machine guns. The end of everyday life. These peaceful days would never come again.